Alright guys, back in familiar digs here, back at the World Series of Poker at the Rio here in Las Vegas. Very familiar sight. There's a couple small changes to maybe...
2-5, no limit for James.
A couple small changes to maybe take note of. The mothership, the main stage, the final table stage is back where it belongs in my opinion, back in the Amazon room. What used to be basically an empty stage with some tables and chairs, they've turned it into a gaming lounge. So that's kind of cool. Come play some video games, and while you're there, grab yourself a free can of Rockstar, apparently. Yeah, so things are happening here at the World Series. It's crazy to think that it's already begun, but it is. The 3K shootout is already underway. That's today. The daily deep stacks are underway. We saw Alan Cunningham won the very first one, 2018. So I guess congrats to Alan. And the cash games, those are underway as well. I'm already hopping in there. There's a 2-5 underway. Let's go. Oh, by the way, can't really play for too long this evening. Can only play for a couple of hours before heading over to Aria for a dinner. But maybe we'll come back or play over there, something. Anyway, let's go. Let's go play. Alright guys, just wrapping up a very short session over here at the Rio. I got to make my way over to Aria. Nothing too exciting to report from this 2-hour session or whatever it was. In one hand, I looked down at Jack 10 of spades and raised it up from the hijack to $20. Cut off in big blind call. Flop comes ace 9-7 with 2 spades. One check to me and I bet $30. Player on my left calls, other player folds. Turn is a king, offsuit king, so we add a second straight draw, now a double gutter to go along with the flush draw. So definitely don't want to just give up the lead here. I think another bet makes sense and probably more sizable than average. So I make a $120 bet. The player on my left thinks forward a little bit before folding, so that's a pretty good result there with Jack high. And in one other hand, I isolate a limper with 4-5 of hearts to $25. The big blind and the limper make the call. So we see a 3-way flop of queen 10-9 with 2 hearts. The big blind leads right out for $35. The limper makes the call, and I think I just want a flat call here rather than put in a raise. Even though I was the initial raiser and him leading into me is playing out of flow, but I think this is going to be such a wet, coordinated board that's going to connect with their range so often that I don't think putting in a raise is going to get the job done as often as I would like. So I just flat call there. Turn is a total brick. Player in the big blind leads out again. He bets $85 this time. There's a fold and then it's back to me. Folding is probably more than okay here with a 5-high flush draw, but I think we can probably accomplish some things if some straight cards come on the river as well as the flush cards. So I go ahead and call to see what happens on the river here, and it comes in offsuit jack. He thinks for a long time before checking over to me, and even though it puts forward a straight on the board now, I don't think that's the best bluff card, because the only hand that I'm really representing would be king queen and maybe ace king of hearts. That's only one combination though. Since I have the 2 hearts in my hand, obviously don't have any blockers to the straight, and he could have a straight himself, I just decided to give up there and check it back. If a king came or an 8 came, I think I would fire pretty big there, but I just decided to give it up, and my opponent rolls over pocket 10s, so he flops himself a set. Raising the flop would not have worked, and maybe bet on the river might have worked. 5-high is not gonna work, so whatever. You win some, you lose some. All right, I gotta head over to Aria and have a little get-together dinner, and then either gonna play over there. As you can tell, it's extremely bright. I don't know if you can even see my face whatsoever, but yeah, over to Aria, and then more poker after that. Let's go. All right, guys, just wrapping up a nice dinner over here at Javier's over at Aria. Had a very good dinner with a nice friendly face who you guys might be aware of, might be familiar with.
Hello.
Look at this guy.
Whoa, hello.
Look at this guy.
They're not going to believe it. They're like, Javier's, isn't there flavor in that food? But yeah,
exactly.
Somehow, here I am.
That was, so I had 2 questions for you, and that leads me to question number 1.
Yeah.
What did you have for dinner?
Yes.
And did you enjoy it?
It was amazing. I had white rice and plain chicken. It was great. So, yeah, about what you would expect.
Managed to find white rice and plain chicken at Javier's.
I did. You know, I played the 10K Hyper Turbo yesterday, so I wanted something just as exciting today for my dinner time, and that was what I picked.
Good job. All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Question number 2, very basic WSOP overview for yourself.
Well, I played 1 event yesterday, which is already 1 event more than I played last year, so there's that. I think I'll play some of the mixed games. I'll play the Dealer's Choice, the 8 game, stuff like that. I'm on the retirement, casual, recreational circuit. So if it's a fun tournament, I'm in there. You will not see me in the 1500 limit hold'em, I promise you that.
That sounds like a pretty sweet life.
Yeah, it's not bad, you know. I mean, I put my time in. I played 30 events for 10 years in a row. Now it's just the pick and choose, just the best, you know.
He makes it sound like he's not working his ass off. He's doing a lot of things behind the scenes, doing some cool things. But all right,
sure.
well, maybe we'll see you here and there at the Rio.
Yeah, for sure. You make a final table, I'll be down there. I'll be down there representing. We'll make it happen.
All right, I better
step it up.
I better step it up, fire at some events, and make that happen.
Let's go.
All right, buddy.
Awesome.
An additional cool thing about the World Series of Poker here in Vegas is that everyone is here at the same time. So it's cool to be able to get together with people. Even though Jason and I live in the same city, we haven't really gotten to know each other until very recently. By the way, if you've never been to Javier's at Aria, highly recommend. All right, we're going back to the Rio. Let's get back into the thick of it. All right, guys, poker's back underway here, back in the Pavilion Room, back in the 2-5, and just taking it slow a little bit off the bat here in day 1. Sticking to the 2-5 for now. We'll definitely be in the 5-10 here at the Rio, as well as the Bellagio, and likely elsewhere. No need to rush through these early days of the 7 weeks of poker we have ahead of us in the World Series. Action is underway here in this 2-5 game, in for $1,000. And in this hand, the hijack min raises it up to $10. I look down at King, Queen of clubs, and don't really want everybody calling with who knows what behind me. Try to knock out the blinds and raise it up a little bit more, make it $30 to go. The button puts in a 4-bet to $50. So not exactly too sure what is happening here, but when it folds to me, I know I am not folding. So I make the call, and we're gonna see a flop heads up, which comes down Queen, 9, deuce with 2 spades. So flop ourselves top pair here. Check it over to the button, who puts out, makes it $50 here on the flop. Obviously not gonna go anywhere, so I call. Turns an offsuit 3. I check it, and this time he checks back. So feeling pretty confident about my hand now. River comes another offsuit 3. So time to go for a little bit of value. Maybe target some under pairs, some pairs lower than a queen. So I don't want to size too big here. I size it to $85, and my opponent is into the tank, thinking it over. Eventually he decides on the call. He did say that later on that was some good sizing, because if it was bigger, he probably just would have let it go if it was a little bit bigger. But he seemed like he just wanted to see the hand, and I'll take it. Happy to take it. In this next hand, the button straddle is on, and here at the World Series, when the button straddle is on, the action starts in the small blind, which I think is probably the case for most locations. However, here in Vegas, normally when the button straddle is on, action starts under the gun, and then goes around, skips the button, blinds act, and then the button goes, which I think is probably a little bit more fair, because I think when the button straddle is on and the blinds have to go first, really unfair for the blinds. But that's the way it is here at the World Series, here at the Rio. So button straddle is on, the big blind completes, and I look down at pocket queens next to act. I make it 40 to go, and it folds over to the button who makes the call, as does the big blind. So 3 ways to a flop. This one comes king 8 deuce rainbow. Big blind checks, I decide to check it, and the button checks back. Turn is a 3 of spades. Big blind checks, I check again, and this time the button puts out a bet of $65. Big blind calls, I'm not going anywhere with pocket queens, having under-repped it, and lots of worse hands that could be betting here for value, so I call as well. River puts up the 5 of spades, which completes the backdoor flush draw. So trying to get to as cheap of a showdown as possible here. So when the big blind checks and I check, pretty happy to see the button check back as well. So the big blind shows pocket 7s, we show, and the button shows us jack 8 of clubs. The ladies hold up in the 3-bet pot.
4 players. Okay, then I'll bet with.
Next fun hand comes with the button straddle on once again, and pretty good to see. There is a good number of people straddling here. Again, perhaps not the biggest fan of the button straddle, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anyone's ranges. Still lots of people playing lots of hands, so that's very good to see. And there's also some under the gun straddling happening as well. So games seem pretty active thus far in the early days here at the World Series. As mentioned, button straddle on here. The under the gun player raises it up to $30, and we look down at ace 3 of clubs in late position. Don't hate a fold here, don't hate a 3-bet either so much, but since it's versus an early initial position raiser, and you know, folding is, you know, pretty boring, I decided to make the call, and both blinds call as well. So 4 ways to a flop this time. 9, 8, 3. Flop ourselves bottom pair and backdoor nut flush draw. The 2 blinds check, and the initial raiser puts out a bet of $70. It's a little bit tricky of a spot since there are 2 players left to act behind me. I wouldn't completely hate a fold here due to that fact, but the sizing is reasonable, and the under the gun player definitely splashing around a lot. So don't want to just give it up here. Call with a pair, try and improve to a 2 pair of trips hand plus backdoor equity as mentioned. So I make the call, and both players call behind me. So not feeling too good about my hand at this point until the 3 comes down on the turn. So improve to trips now and feeling much better about my hand. This time the blinds check and the initial raiser checks as well. So I'm not going to give any free cards to a jack 10 type hand here. I want to put out a bet, try and get some value here, charge all those potential draws. I bet $200, and very quickly the small blind rips all his money in there. Jams it all in for about 600 or 650, somewhere in that neighborhood. Folds back to me, and not going anywhere for that stack size. Could be behind a slow played set, but just a little bit too up high in our range to find a fold here ever. So I go ahead and call. We are off to a river heads up, which comes a jack. My opponent is very hesitant to flip his cards over, which looks like a good sign, and sure enough, he shows us pocket 4s. So that's not going to cut it. Good turn card for us. We do improve to the best hand on the turn, and we hold up on the river. Pretty sizable, pretty nice spot here. All right, just wrapping up the part 2 of the 2-5 day 1 session here at the World Series of Poker 2018. As you can tell, again, straightforward poker in the lower stakes games is what's going to get it done, whether that's here at the World Series or the neighborhood casino. And by neighborhood, I mean, you know, the Bellagio on the Strip. I plan on playing 1 or 2 more of these 2-5 sessions before kicking it back up to 5-10. It's been choppy waters, but nice to just have a nice smooth sailing session or 2 in 2-5, string a couple of those together, get the confidence back in order. As for this game, in for $1,000, out for $2,440, which, according to my mathematics, is a profit of $1,440 minus about $100 that I lost earlier today, $1,340 net. Buckle in, we only got about 7 more weeks of this.